Mr. Platinum Man 1989 here. I know I haven't made a video in a while. I've just been very busy, but that does not mean I haven't stopped watching wrestling. Now, I'm gonna talk about TNA Impact. Now, my opinion is that these last 2 weeks, TNA Impact has been gold. Real fucking solid. So, let me just start talking about this week's and anything else that comes to mind. Now, the opening with Kurt Angle, Mick Foley, and Jeff Jarrett, I really enjoyed it because Kurt Angle was pretty over with the crowd. In the beginning of this Main Event Mafia storyline, the crowd was really supporting the veterans, and I always love when there's a credible heel that gets support from the fan. Don't get me wrong, I love the flat out evil heels that always get heat and are perfect, but I also love the credible heels that the crowds support when they make sense. So I like that. And then when Mick Foley said that he plans to take over the Main Event Mafia and be the new leader, Daniels looked at him like, what the fuck? What the fuck, dude? What the fuck do you mean by that? And then AJ Styles was looking at him like that, and Jeff Jarrett, and I've been loving this whole thing between Jeff Jarrett and Mick Foley. It's some really good storyline stuff. So I really enjoyed that opening segment. Next we have Suicide versus Consequences Creed. Kaz, it looks like Kaz is back under the suit. I mean, obvious, it's pretty obvious. But I am impressed with Kaz in-ring skills, considering he's coming back from an injury. So that's good as well. Now, I'm going to touch more on this later because of the segment. Taylor Wilde speaks out about her secret admirer. It's interesting where they're going to go with this. I don't know if it's going to be something very small, or if it's going to introduce a new member to the roster, or is it going to be some silly person on the roster and it's just filler, or if it's a bigger picture. But I like this segment. It's interesting. Mike Tenay's sit down with the Main Event Mafia. Oh my god, I really love this because, like I said, they were making the Main Event Mafia very credible heels, and we got to hear Sting talk again, which he hasn't since lockdown or before lockdown. And everybody was together, and they were talking about how the goal is back in place to earn that respect, and it was just a great segment all around. They weren't trying to be flat out heels, which I like when it's a mixture. Now, these stretcher matches with Awesome Kong, we had one last week with Madison Rayne, and another one with Velvet Sky. Finally, in my opinion, TNA has found a good way to build up Awesome Kong. I mean, we would see her for the last few months, week after week, coming out and dominating and beating the shit out of some fucking jobber. And then that's it. Now with these stretcher matches, Awesome Kong got screwed at lockdown, and she's going through the beautiful people one by one, week after week, and just beating the shit out of them. So it's like, it's all building up to her showdown with Angelina at Sacrifice, which I think it's great build up to make her look dominant and everything. And I love how the crowd last week was saying one more time, and then she hit it. And I love how TNA edited that into the video this week to really show everybody how well that went over. So I really think this is the best they've built up Awesome Kong in a while, and I'm looking forward to her showdown with Angelina. Angelina, I love her as the champion. It's very fresh. I haven't been this excited over the title picture, Angelina versus Awesome Kong, since the days that Gail Kim was in the knockout division in the beginning. Now, then we had the continuation of the Team 3D Beer Money tournament. Beer Money versus Young and Holiday, which is Trevor Murdoch. Now, I didn't see a lot of Trevor Murdoch when he was in WWE. It was a specific time that I was very angry with WWE, and I was being a little bitch, basically. So, my initial impression of Trevor Murdoch was that he looked like some fat, slobby pig, and I really didn't care if he had skills or not. But seeing him in TNA, you know, because I didn't really pay attention to him in WWE because I didn't care. I was a bitch back then. But seeing him in TNA, it really gave me a chance to get a fresh look at him, and I really like his in-ring skills. I love how he just came in TNA like nothing, and he's already working good matches. And Beer Money once again have been building up. I swear the tag division in TNA, in my opinion, is amazing, and I would argue that they have everything you can ask for, and they take the title seriously. And Beer Money, excuse me, Beer Money is fucking amazing. You saw them at the end, they're like, yeah! And Team 3D continues to put them over. So it's all great. And Young continues the storyline where he's scraping the bottom of what TNA continues to give him, like the Donny Bonaducci match and stuff like that. So that's also great as well. It's like every segment has at least some purpose. Even if it's a small fucking purpose, at least some purpose. We saw Matt Morgan take on Main Event Mafia Security, and I know people hate this, but at least he didn't lose to them, because God knows they have put up their share of matches and been competitive to other people. But I like how Jeremy Borash acknowledged this. I love how TNA always acknowledges what the Smarks are saying. He was talking about how they have a locker room full of talent, and Mick Foley's booking security guard that there's something wrong with that, and a lot of people would agree with Jeremy. So it all builds up. I love when TNA uses real life controversies and stuff like that. So Matt Morgan went over. It's funny, Devon called the British invasion the British, and it just sounded funny. Anyways, the X Division stars confront Daniels about suicide. Last week segment with the Motor City Machine Guns and Daniel was like one of the fucking best segments I've ever seen in TNA. You really have to catch it. It's available on their YouTube channel, TNA Wrestling. It was perfect last week. It was funny, it got to the point, it was serious at the same time, and it confronted real issues that Daniel was indeed suicide. So I thought this week would be the typical, which we'll probably get in the next 2 weeks. Daniels and Suicide are going to be in the same place, but this week we got some faces on the TNA roster confronting Daniels, and Daniel getting back at them. I hope this all builds up to a match with Daniel and the Guns and Jay Lethal and all those people in some kind of match, in some form, at the pay-per-view. But either way, these segments have been really good, really fucking good. And I love that the Motor City Machine Guns are finally getting the spotlight. They cut promos, they wrestle, they do everything every week, and every time they're out there, they try to steal the show, even if it's a 2-minute promo. Last week's segment was great. Anyways, the 10-man war main event, they really built this matchup as being important, and I think it did its job. It's true, we never got all of them tagging up at the same time. So good job on TNA by building up this match to be important, and all the angles that are in the match were also great. We had Joe and AJ having problems. We have Mick and Jeff just hating each other. Daniels was in there. It's just a great mix of different storylines, and at the end we saw Jeff Jarrett take out Mick Foley, and then Sting pick up the win. Sorry. So overall, I think TNA was very fucking solid, and Sting vowed to retire if he gets pinned at Sacrifice, which was kind of predictable that that's what he will put up to Sacrifice. But that's not necessarily a matter of whether it's predictable. It's what he should sacrifice. It's what you expect to be most important to him at this point. And as for Sting, let me talk about him. When he came back last week, I was so fucking surprised. I thought this was TNA's way of putting him off television for a while, and he will return right before Bound for Glory, like in August, which is what they kind of did kind of did last year. He took a big break. I know Sting's back in the mix of things, which is fucking great. I love Sting. I love him to death. I've been loving TNA recently. Pretty much everything has been gold, especially this Daphne and Abyss thing. Some people will say that Abyss looks too weak, but he's like a child. So it's a given that there will be this figure that could have a dominant control over him, just like James Mitchell used to have. So TNA has been solid. I recommend you guys check it out next week as well. I should make another video talking about WWE because I haven't really gave my thoughts. It's the Platinum Man 1989 out. TNA was great this week and last.